guys, and welcome back to the Moaning Yorkshireman, and welcome back to the chair and to the answers to the questions that all you lovely people have put in the comment section of the video I released last week. Fantastic stuff. It was great to see so many comments come in once again. I think we're about 42 different people, and some have asked a variety of 1, 2 and 3 questions each, so it's definitely going to be a two-parter this time. Last time caught me by surprise with the response. This time I'm admitting it's going to be a two-parter, so think about where you put your comments, because I'm doing it in the order that they came through. So the first one will be answered first, etc. So if you think you're going to be in part 2, then stick around for that one, which will be out tomorrow at 4 PM. So 24 hours after this bad boy. So without further ado, let's get stuck in to the questions. I've got the trusty phone here with all the lovely comments. YouTube put them in order, so they're going to be wrong, I know they are, but, you know, bear with me. And, yeah, completely unscripted. I've not seen the questions. Of course, I've seen them briefly when liking and love-arting them, just so I know I've seen them, but I haven't actually gone in depth. So the answers you get will be immediate, like an immediate reaction to the questions, and some things I might have to put a bit of thought into. I don't know. We're going to have fun, though, aren't we? So the first question comes in from Scott Barnes, a long-time subscriber to the channel. He followed me on Oversteer and everything. Really great guy, always up for a chat in the comments, and he was the first one to get in on the comments section. So does he make him the #1 fan of the Moaning Yorkshireman? I don't know. That's up for you to argue in the comments. So he asks, he says, "Hi Josh, hope you're well, mate. What's your top 3 favourite era of motorsport?" And then he has examples for himself. So my top 3 favourite eras, and they're probably going to be all incredibly cliche, because it has to be the 1990s era of the British Touring Car Championship. I wish sometimes I was just that little bit older so I could have gone and lived the Super Touring era of British Touring Cars, because that was exquisite racing. Massive budgets, professional drivers, ex-Formula 1 drivers in there as well. Really, really good. If I had to pick a certain year out of that era, it would have to be 1995, because I'm a massive fan of John Cleland, and he wrapped up his 2nd title in that Vauxhall Cavalier that year, didn't it? And it would have been so great to see that in person, but sadly I was only, what would I have been, not even 1 when that season started, and I'd just been only over 1 when the season ended. So yeah, a little bit few and far between there for me to go see that, unfortunately. I was a bit too young. But yeah, if I could have picked any year, it'd be that, but the whole era in general of the Super Touring era was phenomenal. The second era will probably be, definitely, I've got to say, Group B rallying. Again, a really, really controversial, not controversial, just a really bog standard answer. Everyone always says it's the pinnacle, but it was the pinnacle. Group B rallying in the 80s with the Quattros, the 6R4s, the RS2000s, the Ford. It was just unbelievable, and the fans were mental, weren't they? You watch these videos and these, like, it's literally like parting a sea. They'll have an Audi blatting towards them at 150 mile an hour down this dirt road, and then they're all just like parting ways, and then it closes up again as the Quattro goes through. Mental, absolutely mental. Some incredible years again. That was where it all got a bit too far and too out of hand, and then from there was regulated after, like the British touring cars were. You know, got too big, it got too expensive, got too dangerous at times as well. The big accidents in rallying, weren't there, where a lot of fans lost their life as well as drivers, so they had to curb it, and with it went the natural interest of it being a worldwide sport, so to speak, and it took a few years to get back up to speed. And then as for the third one, it would be Formula 1, and I'd be tempted to go for, I don't know if I should go for the 2000s or the 10s for that one. But Formula 1 definitely is a great sport nonetheless, isn't it? I'm going to say, I'm going to go for the 2000s, because obviously that was when I started really understanding Formula 1 at a young age, and I was a big Michael Schumacher fan. And then I actually ended up liking Fernando Alonso before he beat Michael Schumacher. I seem to remember he had a ridiculously good qualifying in a Minardi back in 2001, and I always liked the plucky backmarker even from a young age, and I thought that was really good. And then when he came back into Renault from 2003, I started supporting him from there. So yeah, I was a big fan of that era, and really good era, that 2000s actually. I know there was a lot of controversy with the tyres and things. In 2003, Michelin had to force to change compounds. because of bullshit reasons, when it should have really been Kimi Raikkonen's title that year. 2005, of course, with the US Grand Prix. But you look back on it, and I do think it was a particularly good era. And the last real, like, minnow teams, you know, running on minuscule budgets like Minardi, Jordan in there, Arrows in the early time as well. So, yeah, they'd be my 3 picks. Thank you very much for your question, Scott. And I apologise it took that far long to answer one question. So, strap yourselves in. Next one comes in from Josh K. Again, a long-time subscriber of the channel, a great guy. Talk to him a lot on Twitter as well, so yeah, brilliant. Thanks for your question. And he has a very apt question, actually, because we have a place called the Lead Mill in Sheffield, which is a fantastic music venue as well as a clubbing scene. It's just incredible for anything. It really has. They have these sonic Saturday nights where it's just lights and flares and confetti cannons, and you know, it's a great night out. It really is incredible. And unfortunately it is closing down because rich people from the south have come up and gone, yeah, we're just going to buy this off you, because they don't own the building. Lead Mill rent the building, so they've literally bought the building and gone, yeah, you can get out. And it will be closing in April next year, so very, very sad times. So he asks, this one feels topical after about the news of the closing of the Lead Mill. I know it's meant a lot to you being a Yorkshireman, so my question is, what is your favourite memory or night at the Lead Mill? And it would have to be, I went to a Blossoms after party. So Blossoms is a group I really like. They were playing at the O2 Academy in Sheffield, and it was free entry if you'd got a Blossoms ticket into the Lead Mill for the night out afterwards. And it was unbelievable. It was all indie tunes. It was great, and everyone in there were pretty much wearing Blossoms t-shirts. You got talking to a load of people. It's just such a great vibe whenever you go. Whether you go for a concert, go for a clubbing night, go for any random night. I mean, they do bonkers bingo there and everything. It's just an amazing venue, and I'm really am going to miss it when it does go. And I hope something happens to stop this. But as always with the North, we try and put an appeal in and said they can't do this, and then the fucking government and Parliament and MPs, they're not interested. Not asked because we're up north, but that's a question I am not answering or getting into that question, because the North-South divide does exist. I don't care what anyone says, but I'm proud to be Yorkshire. I'm proud of the Lead Mill. It's stood there for over 40 years. It's an iconic landmark in Sheffield, but unfortunately all these rich people from down south are in there now. Sheffield is currently a building site. They're knocking everything down, rearranging roads, these sky-rise apartment buildings just going up left, right and centre, taking down not just the Lead Mill, there's iconic other venues there. An old cinema was forced to close, like a really old-fashioned cinema was forced to close because, same again, rich person bought the building, they rented the building off of that person that sold it. It's just all a mess. So yeah, Sheffield is going to go from being one of the greatest places in Yorkshire to one of the shittest and just commercialised. They're just trying to make it like a mini London, and it's not going to work because we don't stand for shit like that. Anyway, there we go. That's another one that got a bit too political and a bit wrongly answered, but never mind. Thank you very much, Josh, for your question. And yeah, there will be more nights out at the Lead Mill, I'm sure, but let's get a few more in definitely before it does close. Right, glory to Putin. And can we just, while we're at this now with glory to Putin, he's not actually a Putin lover. It is KDF1, who has been on the channel for about 2 or 3 years now. It was I think he joined me when I started all the Oversteer re-releases. Might have been a bit before then, actually. I apologise, but yeah, Kieran is his proper name, and he said to me at the start of this year, if McLaren get a podium, because he was that embarrassed by him as being a fan of them. If McLaren get a podium this year, I will change my YouTube account name to a Putin-loving page. So that's where that's come from. So don't be alarmed if you see him in the comments, because it is literally just a joke between me and him, because he said that McLaren might get the podium this year, and they did quite early on. So they've got a bit shitter since, but there we go. That's a question answered that wasn't even asked. So I can ask anything. Okay, how much pussy have you had? Never owned a cat. Right. Your most loathed racing driver, past or present? Most loathed racing driver, past or present? Most loathed racing driver, past or present? I don't know. I think Dan Tinkton's got to be up there. He is a right cockend and still remains to be a cockend to this day, unfortunately. It seems to have mellowed a bit now in Formula E this year, but he still gets on my tits. He's a very, very annoying person. I'm trying to think of others. He's the one that definitely springs to mind. Most loath racing driver. Yeah, I would say definitely him. I'm sure there's been other drivers that have probably done a lot worse. I mean, Mazepin obviously would be an obvious choice, but I don't think he's even relevant to talk about this day and age, to be honest with you. But he was a cockend, obviously. So yeah, I would probably say Tinkton for someone that's still racing anyway. I do feel Mazepin's had his comeuppance, really, hasn't he, a little bit? So yeah, fuck him. Anyway, what's the next one? Best/worst F1 games you have ever played. If you can include pre-Codemasters for the worst as well, that would be even better. Well, pre-Codemasters, I've got to say, I pretty much loved them all. F1 98 on the PlayStation 1 was a disaster, though. That was shite. F1 97 was a fantastic game, and F1 98, they were just like, yeah. And that was a bit diabolical, unfortunately. In terms of like pre-Codemasters again as well, I mean the EA stuff wasn't brilliant because back in the day you used to have two releases. You used to have the official Formula 1 game and then you used to get the F1 game that came out from EA. So you used to have two games per console per year for quite a long time, and the EA ones always fell short. I'm struggling to think of a good one actually. No, I can't actually think of a good EA one. I don't think F1 2000 was bad if I remember rightly. But that was, I can't remember which F1 2000 were good because that year there was about 6 of them. There was some released on PS1, some released on PS2. It was mental. Carnage that year. But yeah, there was, I think the EA 2000 game, if I think I remember rightly, was probably the most palatable out of all those. The worst Codemasters game there's ever been has to be 2015 because that was a load of shit. That was a £15 add-on to a 2014 game and that took everything out but wanted to charge you 50 quid. Load of shite. Yeah, the Codemasters ones, I think this EA one now, I think EA is just going to go down the pan. This F1 2022 game's probably realistically the last time that we're ever going to see something that mirrors something that's playable and formattable before microtransactions take over. Because that's an EA thing to do now, isn't it? So, yeah, we'll wait and see how that goes, but I'm not too arsed if it happens or doesn't, to be honest. What's his next question? Do you have an actual full-time job that doesn't involve stalking old biddies from the bingo hall in Rotherham? The answer to that is no, and it's not Rotherham that I go stalking biddies at bingo. I am a full-time carer for my nan at the moment, at present. Since COVID happened, I've obviously been doing that because I was furloughed at the time, so a lot more time to go see my nan and look after my nan. And obviously she's got a little bit more older and a little bit more frail in life. When I got the call to go back to work, I said, no, I'm not interested, thanks, because I worked at an airport before, and we can all see how bad airports are doing at the moment, so I'm really kind of glad I jumped ship. So, yeah, there's no like, money incentive to it, to being a carer. I earn next to nothing for being a carer. There's all these government grants and everything you see at the minute where people are getting handouts if they're on universal credit. Doesn't apply to carers, apparently we don't need that money, so that's a load of crap. Yeah, it's not for monetary values at all, but I am really enjoying looking after my nan, spending time with my nan while she's here, and also I take her to the bingo, and I have ended up being the bingo caller there now because I've got such a succulent voice. All the sixes, 43, there you go, you see, get all the biddies laughing. Yeah, so basically that's my job now. It does me alright, it's a job. Spend more time with my nan, and she gets looked after, gets to do things that she wouldn't be able to do without me there, so fair play, I'll say. I don't mind that at all. And then he asks a fourth question, because fuck my rules. When are you gonna get together with Dave and have a proper gangbang? Sorry, I mean collab, of course you do. Maybe he can torture you with F1 2001 for Halloween. Yeah, F1 2001 was a shitter as well, weren't it? Yeah, me and Dave, I don't know if we've ever collabed before. I think we've done a little bit before. I sometimes appear on his weekly phone-ins, as I call them, on these Thursday nights, as and when. So I don't really feel there's any need for me and Dave to collab, as much as I love the bloke, Dave. I know you're watching. Yeah, for Dave, you know, a great guy, but we're really not compatible in terms of platforms. We're very similar in personality and taste and sense of humour, and I'd more than happily help him out at any given opportunity if I needed it. I know it'd be likewise in return as well. But in terms of collabing, it'd just be very difficult to think of something we can collab on, because he's a gamer, I'm more this side of things. Being in front, so it'd be difficult to get a collab together. But if people really wanted it, I'm sure we could get something together. Yeah, I'm sure we can do something if the demand was there for it, and obviously if we both had time. But yeah, big love to Dave. Yeah, not something I've ever really thought about doing properly, other than obviously being on his channel for the ERL racing, and of course his weekly phone-ins that he does with the ERL group. I sometimes answer those, so I suppose that's sort of collabing, but at the same time it isn't. I know what you mean. But yeah, and F1 2001 for Halloween special, not happening at all. Next up is Greg Brown, a great guy once again, followed the channel for a long time. He puts, "Gosh, I'm early, comment 4. I'm going to cheat and take this spot, then I'll edit this comment with my questions." Great choice, great idea to do it, and it did work. So, did you know Kimi is giving NASCAR another go this weekend? That'll be this weekend that these videos are coming up on. At the Watkins Glen, he will be joined by Torpedo Kvyat this event. Should be a wild and crazy race, as those former F1 drivers try their hand at racing dinosaurs. Yeah, very true. I was aware that Kimi was doing it. I didn't realise Kvyat were going to be there as well. Unless he's joking about that. I don't follow NASCAR too closely. But yeah, should be good. I hope he does well, but I expect him to struggle because he's not done much racing recently, hasn't he? He's probably just pissed anyway. So yeah, it'd be interesting to watch. If I can watch it on Freeview telly, or it's free to view in some areas, then I'll go watch it. But yeah, I wish him all the best. Question B, he's put on question 2. Watch the MotoGP at Silverstone. I noticed the grass looked really dead. I guess it was really hot there. You weren't just moaning for the sake of being a moaning Yorkshireman. No, it was warm. It was very warm. We had a hot summer. Peaked at 39 degrees one day, and I just remember nearly knocking myself out as I was driving home. I was out with friends and I was coming back home, and there was a gust of warm air that just blew into the car, and I'm like, fucking hell. It got warm, it got very warm. But we've had a couple of rainstorms now. Thunderstorms, we've ended up flooding. I mean, how the hell do we do that? What the fuck is this, Britain? We've had a drought for that long. You'd have thought all this water had just soaked in everywhere, but oh, it's the wrong type of rain. Like, oh, fuck off. And we ended up with flooding. So yeah, there you go. Can't win, can we, Greg? But no, I weren't just moaning for the sake of moaning. It's been bloody warm. And C. When am I going to get that video of you playing whack-a-mole? Yes, he asked for this many years ago. In fact, it's probably the last 2 Q&As he's asked for it, as well as other random comments. And yeah, do you know what, Greg? I totally forgot about it, and I totally forgot. I apologise. I'll sort that out. I will sort that out, promise you. It'll be a lovely little video of me playing whack-a-mole. Bit weird, but there we go. He asked for it. I'll give it. I'll do it. Cheers, Greg, for your questions, as always. Warwick Ball says, "Hi, Josh, another Q&A. Wow, where do I start?" Where do you start indeed, Warwick? Again, a long-time subscriber of the channel now, and great to see him have so many questions. So his first one is, what is your favourite place to travel to in the mainland Europe, and why? Mainland Europe. Do you know what? I really used to like Belgium when we used to go there. Loved Belgium. Such a nice, quaint little areas. It was great. Like mostly fields. Every hotel that you stop in's isolated. It's always a private run thing. There will be chains, of course. There's going to be chains everywhere, isn't there? But whenever we stopped in Belgium, it was always just a little hotel on its own in the middle of nowhere. Really peaceful, really friendly people as well, the Belgians. And that's really nice. Other than that, I would say Holland. Holland was very good as well. I used to enjoy going to Assen, the race circuit there. Again, really friendly people and nice vibes. Just a really nice vibes where we used to stop. So yeah, I would probably say Belgium for 1, Holland a very close second. Question 2. What did you honestly think of Michael Schumacher when he was in his prime at Ferrari? Well, I loved him. As I mentioned, I was a young kid. I fell in love with the red Ferrari and Michael Schumacher winning. I don't always agree with the politics that happened, such as Austria 2002, where Barrichello had to stop on the line to let Michael win, things like that. I don't agree with. His Monaco antics, of course, stopping at the final corner to cause the red flag and then get disqualified, and like that I don't agree with, and the politics that all surrounded the Ferrari at the time, etc. But you can't knock Schumacher for the way he did it and the way he brought Ferrari to victory. You know, the way that he brought Ferrari from the ashes. I mean, it'd be like him jumping in now and I'm really struggling and being really shit at the moment. They've got a quick car but inconsistent. Yeah, I honestly believe that he would come in and would reform that team. So yeah, I used to have big love for Michael Schumacher, and I think he did wonders for Ferrari. Question 3. Do you have a favourite beer or alcoholic drink? I love Jack Daniels. Absolutely adore Jack Daniels. Jack Daniels and Coke for me. I have that much Jack Daniels and then just enough Coke just to turn the whiskey brown, basically. Yeah, I absolutely love Jack Daniels. Other drinks I like Baileys. That tends to be more of a Christmas thing, though. A nice creamy Baileys. That were lovely. And then, I suppose, just the usual. I do drink cider. I don't mind cider too much. The biggest one I don't like is beer. I can't drink beer or lager. Nothing. None of it. All just absolute filth to my taste buds. A lot of people drink it and like it, and do you know what? Fair play to you, because it tends to be a cheaper night out for people that drink beer. You get a whole pint for about £4, whereas a bloody Jack Daniels and Coke double, about £7, and it's like that big. You know, so fair play if you can drink beer. I just can't stomach it. But yeah, definitely Jack Daniels and Coke is my favourite. And he apologised for that one for being a bit too personal. So, yeah, I don't think that's a personal question at all, Warwick, and you could have asked far more, I suppose. Right, then we come to Adam Chow, my lifelong friend. If anyone's not aware of that, Adam has been my mate since, was it nursery, or it might have been reception, so it would have been 3 or 4 anyway. He's been my lifelong friend. He asked a couple of questions, so thank you very much, Adam. He says, if you could design your perfect race circuit, what corners, straights would you use? Can be from any circuit, from any racing series. Right, okay, yeah. So my perfect circuit would definitely have to have the Monza first chicane to start. Down a long straight, first chicane, then we're going to sling it round, and then as we go round the right-hander at Monza normally, I'm going to do a backwards turn 8 at Istanbul. That turn 8 at Istanbul is absolutely sexy, but we'll have it the opposite direction, so it'll curve to the right rather than to the left. We'll have a turn 8 there, and then what else would I sling in there? I'd definitely have a Brands Hatch paddock hill bend in there somewhere. You've got to have the hanger straight at Silverstone, and I'd probably have the Maggots and Beckett's complex as well. Great set of corners that, you get a real sense of speed there. From being in the car you can see it, and from outside watching a car around the track you get the real sense of speed. That would be a great part to have into it somewhere along the line. What other really amazing corners? I think you'd have to have Spa, wouldn't you? You're going to have Spa, but I wouldn't go for the Eau Rouge up through Radion. I'd personally go for Blanchimont at that corner. I'd go for the Blanchimont corner. Again, high speed, nice and flowing. Really love a good flowing circuit, because you get that sense of speed, and then when an overtaking opportunity arises, you have to take it, and you take it the first chicane at Monza. What other corners could I have in there? There's loads. I would probably have some at Malaysia in there. I used to love Kuala Lumpur. Malaysia was really good. I can't remember what the corner was called, but it was as you started sector 2, you had like the double right-hander, but it was like 90 degree, but you could take it at quite a nice speed and get round. You see, fast and flowing for me works quite well. Then you'd have to stick some tightness of like Monaco or Baku in there just to make it a crash fest. And that would be about it, really. But yeah, really good question, that, Adam. Got me thinking there. There's probably other bits as well. I'd love a Laguna Seca corkscrew section, but that'd be undesirable, wouldn't it, really? But yeah, again, another iconic and amazing circuit. Question 2. They say you can't be a true petrol head until you've owned an Alfa. My question is, what Alfa would you own? Can be from any era. Alfa I would own would either be an Alfa Romeo 159. It'd have to be the 2-litre petrol, which are rare as rocking horse shit. Because they're very unreliable, more unreliable than the diesel, but I'm not a diesel fan, so... no, it's a 2.2, sorry, it's a 2.2 petrol, JVTI I think it's called, of the Alfa 159, stunning car, absolutely looks gorgeous. Or, failing that for Alfa Romeo, I'd have to have a 155, an Alfa Romeo 155, stunning cars. Absolutely love them, but there's so many Alfas that could be on my list. I love the new Giulietta, the Alfa Romeo Giulietta Quadrifoglio. Oh, if I could have one of them, my God. Just incredible cars again. So yeah, there's loads of Alfas to pick from, but they've been my top 3. Thank you very much for your questions, Adam. Next up we have AR76, Alex Roby, a great guy that I've known since the Oversteer days when he used to be co-presenter on that channel with Marcel. So yeah, known him for a good few years now, 2017, so like 5-6 years. It's mad how time flies, really, isn't it? He asked just one simple question, however it can't contain an answer because he just simply asks, how big is it? Well, I know what he's implying, but I don't know if it had made it a bit more specific, I could have answered him squarely. But how big's what? How big's this room? How big's my camera? How big's this cushion? How big's what? How big are my tits? You don't know? I might be an A cup, might be a B cup now. I'm getting quite perky. Yeah, plenty of answers to that question, Alex. I know what you're implying, you dirty dog. But yeah, if I'm giving an honest answer, I'm going to say about half an inch. There we go. Next up, we have Will F1, again, a great guy that's joined the channel in recent years. And when I say recent years, we're still talking 2 and 3 years now. But again, great to see him have some questions in. So, his first question is, you are the president of the FIA. What would you change about F1 and other motorsport series, and why would you make those changes? You can change whatever you want. So, what changes would I make about F1 and other motorsport series? That's a really good question, actually. I'd probably change the qualifying format now of Formula 1, in all fairness, because the tyres don't matter. What you start on is just a free choice. It's always a fresh medium set or whatever. And I think it takes that... it takes the Q3 away, or the Q2, where you have to, decide what tyres you want to start the race on. So I'd maybe condense all that 3 sessions down into just 1 hour, and then after 15 minutes you lose 5 cars that can no longer go out. You've got just to keep it flowing. I don't think you need that pause in the middle anymore. I suppose if we could change things on a more technical side, I'd be tempted to maybe get rid of the halo on F1 cars and have the aero screen that they have on IndyCar. I just think it looks smarter. I really do. The halo, the halo works fantastic, and I'm not denying that I don't want to see the halo in Formula 1. I was a big critic of it, as was a lot of us at the time. But isn't it weird how as soon as you implement something to save lives, it ends up saving loads of lives? Even then, when you look back on the past, it would have really only saved... It would have saved a couple, if that makes sense. I don't mean that in a derogatory term, because obviously every life lost is tragic, especially when you're doing something you love and you're so passionate about, like Henry Surtees, of course. Halo would have saved him. Jules Bianchi, Halo would have saved him, and we were all questioning whether it would. But then we saw Grosjean's accident, and we're like, wow, really? The aero screen I do think looks really, really nice, though, and looks really smart and belongs on a car. So I just don't know if it'd actually withstand now, thinking about it, whether that aero screen would withstand the impact that Grosjean had. It'd definitely withstand a wheel or a bit of a car coming off. I just don't like those gaps. I think that's the trouble now. Because, the Massa incident could still technically happen from 2009. It could still come through that gap and still whack you. Obviously, the chances are less, and you hope it blows off from the edge of the halo or the middle bit of the halo. But, yeah, just a little bit of a weird one that that could still happen. So, yeah, maybe a full screen or some way to modify that. I'd also bring back refueling, actually. I am a bugger. I would love refueling. Again, as a different strategy. Are we 2-stopping? Are we 3-stopping? And not making it all about a tyres race, especially with the regulation being changed now. You can start on any compound you want. It's always going to be a new set of tyres as well, of course. So it takes that little bit of a dynamic out of it. And I think adding refueling, because obviously qualifying then, you qualify with your race fuel, you go track position, or do you go for a heavier fuel load and work your way through by stopping less? It adds a different dynamic, and I really used to enjoy that. So yeah, they're probably my main ones. Anyway, thank you for that question. His next one is, if you could go back and relive any moment or moments of your life, what would you choose and why? If I could go back and pick any moments or moments of my life to relive, I would definitely love to relive some of my motorsport days. We had some amazing times. It was mostly shite. It was 90% shite and 10% good, but the good stuff were incredible and definitely made up for the bollocks that you suffered for the rest of the year. It'd be great if I could go back in time and just maybe appreciate a little bit more where I was and what I was doing, as opposed to just being fucked off with the situation at that moment, you know, changing engines there till 4 o'clock in the morning, and then what does the driver do to repay you the next day? Oh, the crash. Oh, brilliant, thanks, I'll be up all night fixing that again. Fuck's sake. So yeah, you know, that'd definitely be something I'd like to relive. There'd be certain concerts and gigs and things I've been to that I'd love to relive. I saw Stereophonics at Singleton Park back in 2018 for the 20th anniversary of Performance and Cocktails album. Incredible, absolutely incredible night. I would love to relive that again. And there's probably so many others as well, concert-wise, that I just think I could relive and do again. I would, you know, and remember every single moment in detail. That'd be incredible. So yeah, there's probably some good examples there. Question 3. Where would you like to see the channel in 2 or 3 years from now in terms of subscribers and interaction, or is there no specific goal? There's never ever been a specific goal with this channel. I always just wanted enough people that I could have a chat with, and I think that's going really well at the moment, and sometimes I'm struggling to keep up now. I mean, I'm not struggling, I mean, you know, let's keep it there, but, you know, like if I don't see my phone or I'm busy for about 4 or 5 hours, sometimes after a cruel room's gone up or a popular video or such as this question and answer, I can come back and there'll be like 7 or 8 comments that will all require long answers or people asking me about things, and I thoroughly enjoy that. But then when you're there like 6 or 7, you're like, God, that's I mean, it's nothing. In terms of YouTube, that is nothing. But when I want to interact with everyone, I always feel like, wow, you know, like this is like long questions, and I love it, absolutely love it. So, do you know what? I think we're closing into 1,000 subs. I think if we could reach that number, that'd be amazing. But then I'd want it to not quite get too big above that, as daft as it sounds, because then I would really start struggling to keep up, and I think that'd be a shame if I didn't keep up the interaction with the people that have been knowing me for so long. You know, and if I just genuinely couldn't, it'd be really weird. It'd be a weird thing. Maybe I'd have to dedicate a day. If it ever got that big, I'd just have to do a day of commenting, responding to comments. But again, it takes that initial interaction, especially when it's a cruel room and it's the initial thoughts of a race and things. So, yeah, definitely, the more interaction, the better, but I just don't want too much. And I really do appreciate all your guys for jumping on board and understanding the series and the concept of the cruel room as well. And just coming in, having a chat and being lovely. It's great to see, and it really does blow my mind that so many people are there to not just watch a video through, 35 minutes long, whatever it is, to then respond in the live chat on a premiere of any video, not just the cruel room, and then come into the comments afterwards. Like, you're really going the whole hog of, like, using your time, and I just always think, you know what, you can spend better things with your time than watch me, but you choose to watch me, you enjoy it. I really love the amount of interaction and comments I get, and I hope it never ends. So thank you very much for the question, and yeah, I love you guys basically, and I hope it doesn't end, and I hope I don't get too big that I have to stop doing it as much, if that makes sense. So yeah, a nice little middle ground somewhere would be nice. But let's get to 1,000, that'd be a nice number to hit, and long live the interaction. Next up, we have Helen Ballinger. Apologies if I've got that wrong, Helen, if I've pronounced it wrong. Do you pronounce the G? Sometimes it's a silent thing, isn't it? I don't know, I'm sorry. But yeah, Helen, lovely to see you in the comments as always. She got a little bit of chatting beforehand. She was saying, lovely to see me doing another video. Questions and answers, absolutely. she was mentioning that she was having a trip to York, and she's like, "Oh, maybe I'll see you." I was like, "Oh, York's just a little bit too far away from me," but I hope she has a lovely time. She's currently having a week in Northumberland. That will have ended now, wouldn't it? So I hope you had a lovely time in Northumberland. And she's a massive, massive Alex Albon fan, as I am as well. So we have a good discussion about Alex as well. Her first question, and only question actually, is: who is your favourite music artist and their song? Now, here's an artist and a band I'm going to bang on about all the time. So, my favourite band right now is the Lottery Winners. They'll be unheard of to all of you, I'm sure. The Lottery Winners are such an incredible bunch of guys. 3 lads, 1 lass. Tom, Rob, Joe and Katie. And they are all a fantastic bunch. I got into their music through seeing them support Tom Odell, a guy called Tom Odell who's a pianist, and they were so funny. Just such a great... They don't take themselves too seriously. They have fun. They enjoy what they do. They're touring round at the moment. They'll be touring actually in October this year. They're dotted all up and down the country, right down south like Bournemouth Way, Portsmouth, Swansea. They're doing things up near my end, so Scunthorpe and Telford and Bedford. So have a look. I'll probably put the link in the thing below, and if you get a chance to come to a gig, come to a gig. I'm making all bar 2 of the dates, so I'm not making Bournemouth or I can't remember what the other date is I'm not making, but Buckley I think or something like that. But yeah, amazing group. Got to know them really well. Started supporting and following the music, and yeah, they're just so humble. They're just really, really great people, and I would recommend their music to anyone. Not just because I know them, but also because their music is fantastic. The song "Start Again" is absolutely incredible, featuring Frank Turner. They've also got other songs like "Favourite Flavour." They're just all happy, joyful, indie pop, smiley music. It's just all about feeling good, much better, sunshine, 85 trips, meaning of life, little things. They're all so fun in their own way, and I think a fun band with fun music, little bit cheesy, but a great set of people that just love the music and love doing what they do, and I think it's brilliant. So yeah, I would highly recommend the Lottery Winners to anyone. Please, please, please give their music a listen. They're here on YouTube. If you're not sure about how to find them, you can watch my music. You can watch my videos with my at car shows, especially the most recent ones at Doncaster, the 2-parters, and that's their music in the background to those. So you get to listen to them there as well if you like. So yeah, brilliant band. Absolutely love them to bits. And yeah, that's it. So yeah, my favourite artist, the Lottery Winners. If I have to pick my personal favourite song by them, it'd be a song called Pillows, which was sadly never put on an album. It was one that was a standalone single a few years back in 2016. The song's been around since 2012 though, so a really old tune. It is on their music channel on the Lottery Winners homepage, and there's plenty of live performances as well of it on YouTube. So yeah, I hope you enjoy them. Discover them, Helen, and everyone else that's got this part in the video, and just really enjoy the music. You'll absolutely adore them. Next up, we have Anthony, again, a regular he was from the start, wasn't he, Anthony? Thank you so much for your long and continued support, buddy. It really means a lot. He's got a couple of questions here. He's got... the first question is, what do you think about that twit who lied about his age, having cancer, and faked his death to get a free Mercedes factory tour? Now, this all kicked off on Twitter when someone discovered that someone that had apparently passed away at the age of 20... from having cancer, didn't actually have cancer, didn't actually die, and was actually 28. And he's not only got Mercedes to give him a factory tour, but he also raised over £100,000 on this GoFundMe that were all for him, and just disgusting, absolutely disgusting that he's managed to do this. You know, I didn't actually know about the story or the person himself until after the incident had happened, until people found that he'd not actually died. So I don't know how much he milked it, but he must have milked it a hell of a lot to get that kind of money raised, that kind of influence to the point where Mercedes are giving him factory tours. And I can't believe I wouldn't even in my mind be able to process thinking yes, I'm going to fake having terminal cancer. Could you imagine doing something so sick just for a bit of money and a factory tour of a Formula 1 team? Fucking disgusting is what that is. Absolutely disgusting. Yeah, honestly, horrible. And it makes a mockery now of people that are genuinely ill, that would genuinely love an experience like that, and now everyone's going to be on their guard to make sure that either it's 100% legitimate or not even offer it now. Or they won't even offer it because of knobheads like that fucking take advantage of the goodness of people's hearts. It's wrong, it's sick, and it really pissed me off when I saw it afterwards. And it will continue to annoy me and piss me off until we finally find out that he receives karma, because he can't receive justice. This is the annoying thing, because it's all based on a trust thing. It's a civil matter, isn't it, and not actually in law that anything what he did was illegal. He lied, but it was a trust thing and a civil matter. So you're never going to get that money back. You're never going to be able to repay the people that put that money into that pot for him. You know, it's incredibly frustrating. But karma will come round and get him, and it will bite him in the arse at some point. And maybe, just maybe, he might end up finding himself diagnosed with cancer, and then no one's going to give a shit. So just think of it like that. Karma will come round to bite him. I don't wish cancer on anyone, I'd just like to add that. But, you know, I just think that sometimes karma will be there eventually. Might not be now, might not be for the next 10 years, but something will happen in his life that will fuck him up, and it'll be because of his actions earlier on in life. So, yeah, go fuck himself. Bonus question, he says, do you like Marmite ketchup and melted cheese toasted sandwiches? Absolutely not. I've not even knew that was a concoction until then, to be honest with you, Anthony. Marmite I don't like anyway, but ketchup and melted cheese could work quite well. That could go. That's a combo I'm willing to give a try to, but I am definitely taking Marmite off there, buddy. That's filthy. But yeah, each to their own. I hope you enjoy it, but certainly no Marmite's going on my toasted sandwiches. I don't care what else is on it. Thanks for your questions, as always. Next up, we have Terry Parks. I know you are passionate about motorsport and music. If you had to choose one, which one would you choose and why? Oh, so I can only have motorsport or music, and I'm quite heavily involved in both. So if I lose one that never happened, then I would lose quite a lot of friends from both sides of it. That is ridiculously tough. That is ridiculously tough. I don't even think I can even think to answer that. Because without motorsport, this channel wouldn't be happening. I wouldn't have had Oversteer. I wouldn't have worked in motorsport. I wouldn't have met all those people. And without music, I wouldn't have met the people I meet and the bands I see. And I wouldn't have had all those life experiences of going out for nights out after the events. And I'd have not met friends again. And that's a tough one. That is a tough one. I'm going to say I'm going to pick motorsport. And that really breaks my heart to say that, actually. But I would choose motorsport because I feel like it's given me more options in life than what music had. But I would leave behind a lot of friends. That'd be tough. Very tough, but I would have to pick motorsport. Next question. What is your proudest achievement to date? Wow, proudest achievement to date. That's a bit mad, that. I don't think I've done anything that's majorly made myself proud with. I don't know. I don't know. That's a tough one, that, actually, Terry. What have I done that I'd be really proud of doing? I think, do you know what, genuinely, I'll probably go back to my GCSEs and getting a C in maths. Getting a C in maths, because I am shit at maths, and I always am and I always will be, but I tried so hard to get maths, because I knew if I just got a C, I'd never have to deal with it ever again. My teacher for the final 2 years, getting ready for my exams, was Mr. Donkin. Absolute legend. I was staying after school. Sometimes I was the only person there staying after school to deal with the maths. The maths lessons were open to anyone. But yeah, sometimes I was the only one there. I went to all these additional courses and everything just to try and bloody pass maths. And I did. I got a C in maths, and that was a great achievement, that. So yeah, that's probably my proudest achievement. I've probably done something that my parents are proud of, or my family's proud of, but it's not something that I physically see as an achievement, perhaps. But yeah, I'd definitely say the GCSE maths was a highlight, because I tried bloody hard for that, and I'm glad I got it. And the third and final question is, favourite holiday as a child? Has to be Florida. Went to Florida twice, back in 2000 and in 2003. We did Universal in 2000, and we did Walt Disney in Florida 2003. So the World Resort, Disney's World Resort, Epcot, Magic Kingdom, all that lot. So did I do 97 as well? Was it 98? I think I've been 3 times to Florida, but I can't remember the first one. I think the first one was a little bit too young. But the second and third times I definitely remember very well, and they were very, very nice. I thoroughly enjoyed them. Thank you very much for your questions, Terry. Then we come to Nicola Fox. Hiya, Nicola. Discovered me through Oversteer, and then rediscovered me when I re-uploaded the Oversteer videos on my channel. So very, very good that she found me again. And a great, great chat is our Nicola. She asks, first question, if you won the lottery, what would be your first big spend? It'd have to be a house. I'd have to get a house. I wouldn't want a lot, and I'd want to stay local, so it wouldn't be a big expenditure, but you can get really, really, really nice houses where I'm from around, what would I say, but probably about 180,000 for like a really, really good one. And that'd probably be about my limit. That if I could buy that outright, I'd feel smug about myself. Then it'd just be getting a lot of land, or potentially getting a big garage so I could park a load of cars in. And then the cars I'd buy would be relatively cheap, because I'm quite odd in the sense that I like weird old cars, like old Protons and stuff. Absolutely adore them, but they're about 500 quid, so they're not big spends, but I would buy a lot of unusual cars in that sense. So yeah, first big spend, definitely would get a house and kit it out and have a fucking rave there every night. It'd be amazing, really piss the neighbours off, although I'd pay them off, so it won't matter, would it? Second question, who's your favourite F1 driver of all time? Oh, favourite F1 driver of all time? Do you know what? I know this is going to sound really bloody crap, but I loved Nico Hülkenberg. I really did. I really, really had a soft spot for Nico Hülkenberg. I don't think he is my favourite, definitely a favourite. I always hope that one day he'll come back into Formula 1 full time, but that ship sailed now, hasn't it? But yeah, Nico Hülkenberg, absolutely loved him. I liked Adrian Sutil as well. He was a great driver. I think he was a bit of an underdog. Never had a fully functioning car. You know, he never had a front car. I liked Giancarlo Fisichella, I loved him. And then, of course, as mentioned, I really love Michael Schumacher, I really love Fernando Alonso. So if I'm going to go for people that have achieved championships and race wins, I'm going to go Fernando Alonso. Just because I switched allegiance when I was a little bit older to understand Formula 1 away from Michael Schumacher, but Michael Schumacher's a legend. And then maybe for an underdog, a plucky Nico Hülkenberg. Really, really enjoyed Nico Hülkenberg. I really did have a soft spot for Hülkenberg, and I don't know why. I just seemed like a great, genuine bloke. Third and final question: if you could only eat one type of food for the rest of your life, what would it be? Chinese. I'd eat Chinese until it fell out my ears. Chinese for definite. And if I had to pick a specific dish, it would have to be crispy chili beef and special fried rice with some prawn crackers. And if I'm allowed, I'd have a couple of prawn toasts as well. If that would be the only meal I could eat, it'd have to be Chinese, and if I had to be meal specific, that's it. Fantastic. I love Chinese. Thank you so much for your questions, Nicola. Matthew DeSouza asks, a great guy once again, Matty, racing in the ERL. He'll get a podium this year, Matty. You'll get a podium in that, I'm convinced. Matthew DeSouza asks, hot custard or cold custard? Ooh. Got to be hot though, hasn't it? On an apple pie, hot custard, delicious stuff. Although I am a crumble, so maybe an apple crumble kind of guy. Still hot custard. Custard out of the cupboard or no custard at all? Custard out the cupboard. I suppose it's still going to be in date, isn't it? Well, it better be in date, yeah. Yeah, custard out the cupboard. No, not wrong with that. You don't put custard in the fridge, do you? Because it's in powder. You put powder and you put the milk to it. And then boil it. So yeah, hot custard and custard out the cupboard over no custard any day of the week. Right then, guys, that concludes part number 1 of this fantastic Q&A that I have done. Thank you so much for all the questions so far. If your question hasn't been read out yet, don't worry. Part number 2 is coming up tomorrow at 4 o'clock. So hope you look forward to that. And yes, even if your questions have been answered, but you'd like to know someone else's questions that haven't been answered yet, then stick around for part number 2 as well. I look forward to seeing you all then.